Welcome to 21st Sports Recap and Reaction for the Cincinnati Bengals at the San Francisco 49ers in their Week 15 matchup played December 20th, 2015. We're going to go over the scores and the stats, give our breakdown and analysis as the Bengals were looking to keep pace in the playoff race in the AFC, and the Niners were looking to play spoilers at the site of the upcoming Super Bowl there at Levi Stadium. But in the first quarter, it was scoreless, and the Bengals were struggling early on. They actually turned the ball over on downs about midway through the first quarter. But then in the second, Adam Jones picked off Gabbert, but the Bengals weren't able to turn it into any points. But then about midway through the second, they forced another turnover, this time a fumble by Bolden, as Carlos Dunlap forced the fumble and recovered, and that would end up setting up a 1-yard touchdown run by Jeremy Hill about 3 minutes later, and Mike Nugent added the extra point, and it was 7-0 Cincinnati over San Francisco. So now the Bengals would score again with about a minute and a half left in the first half when Jeremy Hill scored on another 1-yard touchdown run. Mike Nugent added the extra point, and it was 14-0 Cincinnati over San Francisco. Blaine Gabbert was then intercepted for the second time in the first half, this time by Vontaze Burfict, and that would set up a 20-yard touchdown pass by A.J. McCarron to Tyler Kroft with just under a minute left before halftime, as the Bengals come away with 14 points in the final 90 seconds of the first half, actually the final 80 seconds of the first half, and it was 21-0 after the extra point by Nugent at intermission. So 21-0 Bengals over the Niners, but they weren't quite done yet, as in the third quarter, Mike Nugent would hit a 20-yard field goal on the Bengals' first possession of the second half to make it 24-0. So 24-0 before the Niners even got on the board. They would eventually get on the board with a little over 3 minutes left in the third with a 1-yard touchdown run by Bruce Miller. Dawson added the extra point to make it 24-7. And then in the fourth quarter, the Niners would add another 7 points with a touchdown pass by Blaine Gabbert to Anquan Bolden to make it 24-14, a 15-yard touchdown pass with just over 2 minutes left to play, and Dawson added that extra point to make it a 10-point game. And then the Niners ended up going for an onside kick. Originally, it was ruled that the Bengals recovered, but then it was reversed, and the ball was given to San Francisco. But 2 plays later, Gabbert was intercepted by Williams, and that would do it as the Bengals hold on to win 24-14. They're now 11-3 on the season, and they're 6-1 at home. So the Bengals with the win on the road. The Niners now 4-10 on the season. They're 3-4 at home. And Cincinnati not getting a lot of production necessarily offensively, although they did jump out to that 24-0 lead, but their defense really stepping up big time in this game. They needed their defense to come out with a big performance on the road, and they did just that. And A.J. McCarron, 15 of 21 for 192 yards and a touchdown. Giovanni Bernard, 14 carries for 33 yards. He also had 4 catches for 18 yards in this game, which ended up giving him a total of 51 yards. He also Jeremy Hill, 19 carries for 31 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Marvin Jones, 4 receptions for 89 yards. And Kroft had 3 catches for 31 yards and a touchdown. A.J. Green, just 1 catch for 37 yards. As I said, the Bengals weren't really coming out with a lot of production, but their defense was giving them good field position, and they were turning those opportunities into touchdowns. And for San Francisco, Blaine Gabbert, they had him throw the ball 50 times. He was 30 for 50, 295 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Sean Drawn, 9 carries for 38 yards. And Anquan Bolden, 8 catches for 74 yards and a touchdown. As they had a very unbalanced attack. Of course, they fell down in a deep hole early on, but they were not committed to the run. They really couldn't get too much going. Neither team really having a lot of production on the ground, at least yard-wise, as both these teams have good run defense. But the Bengals, of course, getting those touchdowns on the ground, a pair of touchdowns by Hill. But for the kickers in this game, Mike Nugent 1 for 1 on the field goals, 3 for 3 on the extra points. He was perfect. And Dawson 0 for 1 on the field goals, 2 for 2 on the extra points. And for the defense for Cincinnati, Vontaze Burfict, 1 sack and an interception. Geno Atkins had 2 sacks as well. Carlos Dunlap with a forced fumble and recovery. Williams had an interception, and Adam Pac-Man Jones had an interception as well. And Pico had a sack. And for San Francisco, Williams had a sack, Reed had a sack, Ward had a sack, and Brooks had a sack. Really, at team stats, 17 first downs for San Francisco, 14 first downs for Cincinnati. And on third down, the Bengals 4 of 14, 28% conversion rate. They went for it once on fourth down, did not convert. And for San Francisco, just 2 of 14, just 14% conversion rate on third down. They did go for it twice on fourth down, and they converted both. Total net yards in this game, 318 for San Francisco, 242 for Cincinnati. On the ground, the Bengals netted 68 yards. The Niners netted 55 yards on the ground. Through the air, San Francisco netted 263. Gabbert was sacked 4 times, losing a total of 32 yards. Cincinnati netted 174 through the air, as McCarron was sacked 4 times, losing a total of 18 yards. Penalties in this game really hurt San Francisco, as they had 11 penalties for 98 yards. The Bengals 6 penalties for 45 yards. Both teams had 1 fumble, which they both had lost. And in the red zone, both teams were 2 for 3, 66%. And time of possession, 30 minutes, 59 seconds for Cincinnati, 29 minutes, and 1 second for San Francisco. So the Bengals defense really lifted them to the victory. They carried them, and they set up the offense in good field position, gave them the opportunities for them to be able to turn the turnovers into points, which they got a couple, they had 14 points off of turnovers, and they played really tough. A really good game by that defense by the Bengals. The Niners also have a pretty good defense as well, a good run defense. And they were able to, hold the Bengals in terms of yards, but the Bengals defense kept giving their offense such good field position, and Cincinnati was able to turn that into points, as I said, and they jumped out to that early lead that put San Francisco in a position where they just had to throw the ball, and they kept throwing it. And once you get in a deep hole like that and you're forced to just throw the ball, then that's when you get into trouble. But Cincinnati, a big win. And that keeps pace in the AFC, as they're just a game back of the Patriots, and they're in the second seed right now in the AFC. So the Bengals still moving towards the playoffs, and they're hoping to get Andy Dalton back for the playoffs, and we'll see how that all works out. But definitely a big win for the Bengals on the road against the Niners. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and had a great weekend and enjoyed all the sports.